Hello, Royal History Geeks. Hope you're all well. Just a quick one. I say that. I mean, who knows whether this video really will be quick, because I often say that and then end up speaking for quite some time. A few people have been asking me, after the really sad news of the death of the Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, what happens to the Duke of Edinburgh title? And I think, in a sense, I don't want to just sort of hop on and just start talking about real people who have just died as if they're just a figure of academic study. But I think it's a legitimate question, and I thought I'd just briefly explain what is happening, because it is going to be a little bit confusing. In 1999. The Duke of Edinburgh and the Queen's youngest son, Prince Edward, married Sophie Rhys-Jones, and quite unusually wasn't made a royal duke as his older brother Andrew had been, as the Queen's father and uncles had been, as all of Queen Victoria's sons had been. And he instead was made the Earl of Wessex, which I don't know if this is true, but I've always heard was at his request, because he liked the romantic sounding name of the title, which was used in the then recent film Shakespeare in Love. That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no inside knowledge of the royal family. However, at the same time, probably mindful of the fact that he had not been made a royal duke, which is probably what the Queen wanted, because the Queen is something of a traditionalist, quite rightly and quite understandably. It was said that he would one day receive his father's title of Duke of Edinburgh. However, people at the time were a little bit confused about this, because hereditary peerages, and a peerage is a title like Duke. Technically the peerage titles are Duke, Marquess, Earl, Viscount and Baron, the hereditary peerages, although the rank of Baron can be made just for one generation, a life peer, that can also be hereditary. All the rest of the titles are always hereditary, is given to the person who creates it. So if the title was given to me, if I was given the title of Duke or Earl, it would be given to me, and then to all my heirs, male, so only sons, and only sons of sons, etc., etc., and lawfully begotten, so born within marriage. That means that Prince Philip, who, when he was made Duke of Edinburgh, all the same rules applied, and it would have gone to him and his heirs male, lawfully begotten. And of course, by the traditional way that these inheritance laws work, eldest sons take priority over their younger sons. So by the law of the land, now that the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip, has moved on, the title of Duke of Edinburgh descends to Prince Charles, as do Prince Philip's earldom, and as does Prince Philip's barony. They now all sit with Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales. Now, the Prince Charles has about 10 titles that most people don't even know what they are. I know, because I'm a royal history geek, but most people do not know. So this will now be added to Charles's list of titles, which is not that long, and he'll never use it. He'll never be called the Duke of Edinburgh, I wouldn't have thought, and I'd be very surprised if Camilla ever calls herself the Duchess of Edinburgh, but I suppose she could. Wouldn't be wrong, I just don't think that's what will happen. However, when Prince Charles becomes king, all of his other titles, including the Dukedom of Edinburgh, merge with the crown. So that means the Dukedom of Edinburgh will cease to exist as its own title, and Charles can then recreate it in favour of anyone. He could give it to me in theory, but he's not going to. Charles has already publicly committed that when that scenario happens, he will give the title Duke of Edinburgh to Prince Edward. So when Charles is king, Edward will then, not automatically, but by agreement, Edward will then become His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh. He'll still be Earl of Wessex and Viscount Severn as well, but he'll get those titles. And Sophie, his wife, will be the Duchess of Edinburgh. If, God forbid, anything were to happen to the current Prince of Wales before he becomes king, then technically the Duke of Edinburgh title would be inherited by William, everything, God forbid, happened to him, by George, etc., etc. So Edward's a long way down from it now in terms of the line of succession to it. However, it is highly likely that in that terrible scenario that William would still honour the arrangement that was made by his grandmother and agreed to by his father, and ultimately the Dukedom of Edinburgh would go to Prince Edward. The only scenario I can think of that would stop this happening, and actually wasn't a scenario that I thought of until someone quite rightly pointed it out to me on Twitter, is that if Scotland were to vote to leave the United Kingdom, there would obviously be a political dimension to whether or not you could make somebody Duke of Edinburgh. However, at the moment, as I understand it, the policy of the Scottish National Party, who advocate for independence, would be to keep the monarchy as head of state of Scotland. So it might be that even in that scenario, it wouldn't be contentious or too contentious to have a member of the English royal family as a Duke of Edinburgh, because they would still be the British or the UK, well, not UK, but the wider England and Scotland royal family. So I think even in that scenario, it is likely that Edward would become Duke of Edinburgh. Okay, hope that all made sense. Just pop me a comment if anything wasn't clear, and I'll do my best to clarify it for you. Take care.